So I thought I'd come down here today to one of my favorite spots and find a nice seat to talk to you guys a little bit about benchmarking and some of the problems that we've been having. So I'd like to make a video for you of benchmarking and kind of looking at the different performances of storage options, whether it's Nextcloud AIO, which is new to me, the Nextcloud in the turnkey, maybe OwnCloud in turnkey, Samba shares in both VMs, on a Raspberry Pi, and also in a container or a VM, and so forth. And maybe look at a little bit of the difference with the performance of Synology's own software and add in some true NAS there. Now, I've been struggling with a way to either benchmark the software, and there are some free versions out there. And if there's a particular software you think I should use, I would really like you to comment here. And also the setup, with networking gear the way it is in our configuration and our network, it's hard for me to put a dedicated environment and make fair testing, especially if we're adding the Synology in, which is bottlenecked by its Ethernet adapter. Um, we can't really do it from VM to VM on side of a Proxmox server, which is a 10 base T network, rather a 10 gig network instead of a gigabit network. So there's a bunch of problems there. In a minute here, we'll go back to my desk and take a look at some of the different configurations that I've been looking at, but I thought this was a great spot to film an intro for you. Alrighty, so as you can see here, I've changed some of my thought processes throughout the day. After finishing walking around the garden, taking a bunch of thumbnail pictures, and doing generally some personal stuff that I needed to do, I've given this project some more thought. And I necessarily think I want to build some type of, I guess we'd call it storage testing lab, but some type of testing lab where we can look at some of the throughputs of these devices and collect some data going back on what the tests were and the hardware that was used, and maybe have some way of comparing it. I've searched YouTube a little bit and haven't found any channels that are offering this content, and I think it would be helpful when making a decision about what hardware and what software to choose or how to configure the software. As you can see here, there are three different types really of Nextcloud, other than of, I guess we'd say, an easy deployable Nextcloud. Not really, there's a lot more of Nextcloud than just these. And the same holds true for a lot of other software. Maybe you want to deploy it on a Raspberry Pi. Maybe you want to deploy it in a Docker image on your Synology device. Maybe you want to deploy it in Proxmox and such. And I think some of this testing might do people good for making some of those decisions. So one of the first things I see right here with this setup is it could easily be built with Proxmox. All of it. The test environments or the Nextcloud instances that we want to compare in this case, which are the three: the Snap, the AIO, and the Turnkey, which are all easily deployable with minimal clicks. But if we were to do these inside of Proxmox, you'd find that Proxmox has an internal 10 gigabit connection. This would give us different results if we started comparing these results to something maybe like my Synology, or even a Raspberry Pi 4 running something like Open Media Vault, because the Raspberry Pi 4 does have a true gigabit NIC, unlike the Raspberry Pi 3, but still it's only gigabit. And these containers would be subsequently fed 10 gigabit. So I don't know if it's maybe best to keep maybe running some of this stuff, but to pass it out through its own independent router, and how it should maybe be configured. I'm really making this video today, this blog post, to ask you guys for your input on how to set up a lab like this, because I have my own ideas. As you can see, I've done some sketching and some thoughts and mentioned a few of them and a few of the drawbacks. But I really like working in a team, and I like providing the viewers the content they like to see, especially in a scenario like this, because we want to make it fair. We also want to make it similar to everyday use, and we also need to make it budget friendly. This is a very small channel, and I don't or have never received any outside sponsorship money for a video. And I don't anticipate this video being any different. So all of this is going to be bought out of my own personal wallet. And even the small amount of ad revenue we have, which does help us purchase equipment for similar videos and other, it's very small. So we need to keep it cheap and probably stay with even used content. All right. So enough with that. Let's look at some of the different benchmarking softwares that are available. Lowmeter, Disk PD, and PerfTest are the three that came up as I used ChatGPT to do some research. So I've gone ahead and copied in, which are coming in now on screen, the descriptions for each one of these. Each one seems to do SMB testing, which will allow us to at least do some testing with some form of software from a computer to the server itself without having any necessary human interaction with it. The other thing that holds true, especially with Nextcloud, and maybe not as true with some of the other storage softwares or NAS solutions, is the web interface. And this is a big question for me. The web interface is a great location for doing a lot of file transfers. And I'll tell you, I probably use my web interface 90% of the time, especially when I'm trying to get filmed files from my phone onto my laptop for editing. And then I use the web interface primarily to move my edited videos after they've been zipped up to storage, so I have my files for a later date. Now, in my head, the only thing that I can seem to come up with is that we're going to take a large movie file, a zip file or something that's 20 plus gigs, and we're going to time it. And we'll screen record that copy, and then after we screen record, we'll have to do something in editing where we overlay a timer so that we can see how long that takes. Because of course, nobody wants to set through the file transfer and see it in real time. So a timer is going to allow us to then, after we process that video once and overlay it, then we can take and use that timer inside that clip to fast forward it or speed it up, however you want to refer to it, and allow us to reduce the amount of time so you can see how long that load takes. But all of this work has to be done in post-production, which I'm fine doing, but it's something that maybe isn't as nice as a program spitting out some data. It also leaves some variability for human testing. Now, there's a lot of variability in what we're testing as it is, and I would like your input on maybe how to eliminate some of that, or what type of lab setup you would want to see. And it might be something where maybe we have an outgoing switch, but we utilize 10 gig when we can, because I'm sure some of you have 2.5 and 10 gig setups. I would love to have one myself, but unfortunately at this point in time, my budget doesn't allow me to have one. So please, I'm asking you, drop a comment below, get engaged with this video, and help VE develop a testing lab. I hope to use this test lab for more than just this video. I would like to do something like maybe the torque testing channel, and I don't want to dedicate this entire channel to it. I love doing tutorials, but I'd like to do maybe a monthly or a week, probably not a weekly, but maybe a weekly video where we test some viewer inputs on software. And, you guys can go ahead and email the VE web address. It's virtualizeeverything2020@gmail.com, and drop us, some information like, what you'd like to see tested and so on. For this video, please comment below and let us know what you think. Let us know what we should test. Let us know how we should set up the lab. I'd love to hear your input as I make further decisions on how to set up this video and film it. As always, have a good night, and I look forward to your feedback.